It's been on my heart at least. I don't want to just write something that's no benefit at all to the listener. When I write music, I don't want it to be pointless.
All right, today we have Shepherd Hieb with us here in the studio. Welcome, Shepherd.
Thank you.
It's good to have you here with us. So a part of what we do with Aletheia Legacy and our network and our association is we want to collaborate with other artists, other creatives that are out there who are talented, gifted, and want to use their gifts to glorify the Lord, but also make good art. Just go out there and make good art. And that could be through a different types of mediums, different genres. And so you're here and you're young, you're fresh, but man, you have some great stuff that's out there. And so tell us a little bit about your style of music and what you got going on here.
Yeah, so I'm definitely Southern rock country influenced. At least that's what I think.
I think so.
Well, sweet. That's what I'm going for. So that's a compliment. But yeah, I grew up listening to a lot of Southern rock, classic rock, and some country. And so that was just my major influences when I started making music. You know, I was just trying to imitate what I grew up hearing and what I liked to listen to. And so, yes. I try to morph it around that Americana sound, a lot of the American roots music and blues. I mean, I grew up playing blues and honky tonks, and so being able to try to push that into my music is what I'm going for.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. So my mother, she loved that. She loves that type of stuff, and I grew up on that in a very similar. We grew up on a lot of hair metal 80s bands, but then we got into some Leonard Skinner, some CCR, all that. Man. And so whenever I saw you for the first time, that was the first thing I thought through. I was like, all right, so you got to be a Skinner fan. So
it's number one band of all time.
I was gonna say, what are some of your influences?
Oh well, Leonard Skinner is number one. There was a point in time when I could probably play every guitar part to every single one of their songs.
Really?
So yeah, I love Leonard Skinner, CCR, Eagles. Led Zeppelin a little bit. There's just even it's not only Southern rock though. I'd say that I'd draw a lot of influences from, because if I had to name top 10 albums of all time that I listened to, like Nirvana would probably be on there. Nevermind. I mean, but definitely classic rock is where I'm at mostly with a lot of those bands.
Yeah. No, Nevermind's a great album. I was a 90s baby myself, so came out during all of that. So where did you grow up? Tell us a little bit about how the music specifically influenced your life, your lifestyle growing up.
Well, I didn't grow up in one place. My dad was in the Army, and so we moved around a lot. I mean, I lived in 5 or 6 states. It'll take me a second to count all of them. And then in those states, I was moving around in between all of them. And then I grew up in South Korea for a little bit. And so it was definitely life on the road. And through that, I mean, it was honestly a blessing, because, I mean, I got to experience so much and see this, God's creation in the world around us, and which is part of my testimony. But I mean, just being able to go through the Ozarks in Missouri, and then South Korea, the mountains, and I mean, it's just been so beautiful. And what I liked about music in that is that even though I was moving everywhere and going all over the place, you can just take music with you.
Yeah.
And so I remember wearing out CDs, in the radio, in the car, wherever we were, and I mean, I could listen to the same songs, and not only that, being able to go all these different places exposed me to new music, and so it was a good time. But yeah, growing up in the military, lived in Tennessee, Kentucky, Missouri, Texas, Virginia, and that might be it. I don't know, it wasn't that many, but and then South Korea for a little bit, and I lived there for just over 2 years, and so definitely a cool time growing up. Yeah.
So that's awesome, man. So I know a little bit about your family. Mm-hmm. is your family like, are they equally into the music? Are you the only one? You got a good sized family, right?
Yes, there's 6 of us. I got, my 2 parents and then 3 siblings, older brother, younger brother, and an older sister. Um, Growing up, my dad is definitely where a lot of that music influence comes from. He was always the one turning on the music. He played a little bit of bass back in church in the day. Um, and I'd say in my direct family, I'm probably I definitely ventured the most into music. When I was real young, my sister took piano lessons with me, but I'm really the only one who kind of stuck with it. Um, I do have I was It's amazing because I didn't really notice this until just recently how embedded music actually is into my family. Because just growing up in my family in general, if I felt like I was the only one who was crazy into just making music or playing music and playing instruments because I was the only one really doing it. But then I'm hanging out with my uncle and my grandpa, and they're telling, they play drums, they play guitar, and my grandpa was telling me a story. Just the other day, we were going to a Doobie's Brothers concert. He was like, "Yeah, there's time back in 1969, Grand Funk Railroad opened up a concert for him. It wasn't the other way around. He didn't open up a concert for Grand Funk Railroad. It was the other way around." I was like, how am I just learning about this? And so he was in rock bands throughout the 70s here in Louisville and had a decent amount of following. But it's it's cool being able to look back and say, oh man, this music actually it's embedded in my family and like generationals and generations. And so me and my uncles and my parents and then my grandparents and it's yeah, it's kind of cool to look back and see that.
Oh yeah, for sure. So one of the things that I think strikes me most about you is one, you got the name like Shepherd Heeb. It's a original name. I got a basic name. I was blessed with a basic, regular white American name, but I think the name Shepherd sticks out. It's not as common. And then you got the long curly blonde hair, and you got the Hawaiian shirts, and so you just have the overall package. But looks is not everything. So obviously you got the looks down, but correct me if I'm wrong. You play all of your music. If you were to listen to your music, you would assume that there's a full band behind you, but you create all of that on your own.
Except for the drums. I kind of hate to admit this, but the drums on all my music are programmed. And so that's me playing drums on a keyboard. Um, but yeah, all the guitars and bass and vocals, harmonies, and heck, even on Lonesome Bandito and Dear Children, I'm playing the banjo and mandolin on those. And so I I guess that comes from moving around so much. I never had the opportunity to just make a band really, stick with them, practice with them, and so we could make music. And so just moving around was always just kind of me. And so over that, well, if I can play the music, might as well do it. And so, but yeah, I play all the music on my songs except for the drums; those are programmed. And however, if anybody out there knows uh, drums and recording drums, I'm open to get some real drums. That's an upgrade
Uh,
for me. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. No, I know that's common, so that's you don't go down a notch in my book with that. Uh, so that's awesome. And so, were you just self taught or pick up teachers here and there on the road?
I can say I was YouTube taught. When it comes to guitar, at least Marty Schwartz, guitar music, and he was teaching me on YouTube. That's how I learned all my music. I mean, I learned the Freebird solo from YouTube. So anytime I wanted to learn how to play a song, I just went to YouTube, how to play, and that's how I learned guitar. Really, same with banjo and mandolin. It was just YouTube tutorials. Um, but I did start out on piano actually, and so I took piano lessons for 7 years, and so that definitely I'd say developed my ear. And so I can't say I was completely self-taught because music or not music, piano did teach me a lot of my basic foundation in music, and so from there I was able to kind of transfer it over to guitar and mandolin and banjo and all the stringed instruments.
Oh, dude, that's awesome. So my three, Eden's the youngest at 3, and Ollie's about to turn 5, and then Abel's 6, and so we're approaching that age where we're wanting to put them music lessons. And
Yeah.
so Abel did drums for a little bit. It didn't go that well. I don't think the drums is for him, whereas Ollie and Eden go to the drum set in the room all
Yeah.
the time. But we think piano would be good for Abel.
Yeah. So piano, I mean, it's just, I don't know what it is about piano. I remember being told this when I was 5 years old by a stranger, and they said, if you want to learn music, just start out on piano, because the basics of piano are easy. Of course, I mean, mastering it is insane. Some of these piano players are just crazy.
Oh, for
but
sure.
you can learn just your basic theory and just develop your ears with just one note at a time using the piano. And then I really do think that was just such a benefit, being able to transfer that knowledge over to other instruments. And so piano, I think, is great.
Yeah. Yeah. So with that, modern music right now, it's very short, very repetitive. The beat's pretty simple and consistent, and we're in the TikTok generation for music, and so it needs to be short, sweet, and attention grabbing. And so your songs, I would say, are very contrary to that. They're not
Thank you.
short; they are a little bit longer. They tell a story. The format is not always the same. It's not like you just have two, verse, chorus, bridge, chorus again,
Mhm.
And so you tell a little bit about your story. So break that down a little bit more on what does it go into creating a song for you? What are some of your influences when you want to write a song? Like what's the message that you're trying to tell and convey? What's the process like?
Yeah, so usually it just starts out with me, noodling around on my guitar, and maybe I'll hear something I like. I'm like, oh, maybe I can try turning that into something. And then from there, I'll just feel where it goes. And it tends to, I feel like it needs to go 6, 7 minutes long, because all my songs, I mean, probably worth 2 songs with the length. I mean, I guess I don't know when to stop when it comes to to writing. But then also my dad, especially lyrically, me and him on most of my songs, we sit down together, and it's been so great, because I mean, I get along with my dad pretty well. So we sit down and we write lyrics together. And so he's kind of, I guess, taught me just the lyrical side of writing music. And so if I get a riff that I like, and then he throws out an idea and stuff, we just kind of keep building and building and building off of that. And when it comes to specifically like lyrically, it's been on my heart, at least. I don't want to just write something that's no benefit at all to the listener, even if you don't get anything to it. Because I mean, not everybody who listens to every song gets something from it. But when I write music, I don't want it to be pointless, and so that's why I try to throw some stories in there. And I said my greatest example of a story, at least, is probably Lonesome Bandito. You know, it's just this old Western outlaw who's out on the run for murder of all things. Well, good catch. Good catch. All right. I don't know where I was anymore.
Lonesome Bandito storytelling.
Yeah, Lonesome Bandito storytelling. I mean, people told me stories growing up, and I just wanted to continue doing that. And so I always wanted to tell a story that at least mattered, but not only had um, just a full story, well rounded, but one that included my faith. And so with Lonesome Bandito, it's this guy who's out on the run, and the law is tracking him down, and then he stumbles upon this mission, out in the Old West, and that leads him to the opportunity of I sing about it. He doesn't get saved in that moment, but it exposes him to Christ. Um, and so even though, and I guess that's kind of the message I'm trying to say in that song specifically. And it's a story of, look, no matter how far down you are, if you're on the run for murder, it's never too late to turn back to Christ, or just turn to Christ in the first time in your life. And so and then as it goes on, he ends up getting caught, and not so good thing happens to him. But I kind of leave it up in the air whether or not he gets saved or not. But I guess that's up to up to the listener to decide whether or not they
Yeah.
like that story or not. But
Yeah, that's okay. That's
yeah.
okay. I like that. I like that. So I know a little bit about your story and that your dad's health had some kind of narrative within your overall your artistry. Can you tell us a little bit about that and what happened?
Yeah. So a few years ago, my dad got really sick and he went into the hospital, and it just kept getting to a point where it was like kept getting worse and worse, and eventually the doctor gave us a call, and I was in the other room. My mom picked up the phone, and she said, "I didn't want to hear this, but we're on our way." And immediately I knew what that meant. The doctor called and they said, "Your dad's not going to make it through the night." And so, I mean, that was tough, but me and my siblings, we all climbed into the car. We started calling family and stuff, letting them know what's up. But we got there, and I was amazed by how many people we started making calls, but everybody wanted to be at that hospital to see my dad. And so there was chaplains there and friends that had no idea what was going on, just happened to stop by. And so we were all gathered around my dad, preparing to say our last goodbyes. Um, and then I can't remember who it was, but somebody said, "Shepherd, you should start singing." And so I was like, "Well, you guys got to give me some help here." Cause, so me and my brother, my older brother, Justice, we sat there and we started singing songs, some of them mine. And, it was a miracle before our eyes, because as we're in this room singing songs and his heart rate was just going insane. And I mean, it was just getting worse. We started singing and everything leveled out. Um, and so his his what his vitals, that's the word I was looking for. His vitals started to clear up, and so we're sitting there, we're singing songs, and the doctor comes in a few minutes later. She was like, "Hey, your dad seems to be doing fine now. We need you to leave." And so, of course, all of us were like, "You just called us in to tell us our dad has died. We don't want to leave." But his vitals leveled out, and he got stable. And my mom, she loves to go around and tell that story. It's like, "Yep, music. My son's music saved my dad's life." And I don't know if I can agree with that, because it was definitely God in that moment. And so yeah, it's Dark Horse Rider is the song we were singing when his vitals started to clear up. And so yeah, and that did have a big influence on me. Heck, that I even threw a line in "Hold On," my song "Hold On." There's a line, "Doctor says he's fading, come and say goodbye." Doctor or chapel in the ICU, prayers lifted high. And I mean, that line was a direct. It was just a it was the true it was true. I mean, it was a reference. It was a direct reference to that time in the hospital. But yeah, music saved my dad's life, which is just a testimony to the power of music, I guess. But God and music saved my dad's life, and so that's kind of that story.
God used the music,
Yeah,
man.
God uses the music.
That's awesome. That okay. Yeah, I didn't know that story. I heard like little murmurs and alternate versions of that story, but it's the first time I heard it from you. So that's incredible, man. That's awesome. And then I'm assuming he just recovered
Oh
afterwards.
yeah, I shouldn't leave that part out.
He's
Yeah,
doing great now.
he's doing great now. He was in the hospital for another 6 months almost,
Wow.
just in recovery, or another 4 months. He was in the total of 6 months, but another 4 months he was in the hospital for recovery. And it's been 2 years now, and we go to church every Sunday. He's walking around. We still go fishing. I still got my fishing buddy, and so he hasn't quite made the full recovery yet, but he's up and out, and he's he's almost fully recovered. And it's every time it's crazy with such a big part of or a big moment in life that was when they call you in and say, "Hey man, your dad is going to lie." 2 years down the road, uh, it's it's almost like you forget about it because of how well everything is going, and you have to look back and just it's that reminder of the blessing and the miracle that's walking in front of me. You know, even when I get a little annoyed with my dad, I have to sit down and I appreciate these moments because I mean, there was almost a time when I had no dad at all, and
You
so
accepted it, right? Like you
yeah,
thought this is happening.
I mean, yeah, really, we all walked in and said, "Wow, this is it." We all said goodbye, and we said, "I love you," but then he made it through, and so it's yeah, he's made a recovery. He's healthy now and living life to his fullest, and it's a blessing every day with him. Is I'm thankful for it. It's in my prayers. I still thank the Lord that he's still around.
So yeah, tell me a little bit about your faith and how is that connected? Because it's not that you would necessarily label yourself like a Christian artist. You're just a musician. So how does your artistry and your faith, how do you have that balance? And is there any influence whatsoever?
Yeah, well, I'm definitely not a CCM guy. I'm not making contemporary Christian music and worship songs. I want to say, but I do. I mean, I try to identify myself by my faith and by my Christianity. So naturally, I think I just happens to bleed into my music a little bit. And but yeah, my faith is extremely important to me, and that's why I was so blessed by my parents being able to raise me in that kind of way. So when I was growing up, it wasn't a crazy idea. Some guy died on the cross for my sins. That was what I grew up being taught, and so I was definitely more open to the idea. I would say, however, as growing up, I mean, I was asking questions. I was having doubts, and so through that, I was just kind of struggling. I was like, well, where's the proof? If this is what I've grown up being told, how do I know it is, how do I know it's the truth? And through that, I mean, I was able to go on my own self journey, I guess. And heck, even I think one of the most profound moments in my life, and it was just proof that there is a God, is kind of just the hippie naturalist take. Is I was standing on top of a mountain out in Missouri, and I was just looking around me. Um, and I was like, wow, this is so beautiful. I'm just in such awe. There's no way two rocks hit each other and that this just happened to be. I was like, there has to be a creator. I mean, there were deer running across the field and this stream and fish and then the birds and the butterflies. I mean, it was just, I was just trying to take it all in and it was almost too much. It brought a tear to my eye. And so in that moment, I was like, well, I know there is a God. And if there is one, I need to know him because why does he care so much to create me? And so through that, I mean, uh, well, I mean, I have a lot of musically that definitely I try to get that to bleed into my music. I mean, I also do have a lot of those Leonard Skinner influences too. So I mean, that's where the music side comes from it. And some of my songs they're not always this faith based story. And so because I mean, not every single second of my life I'd say is I'm trying to think of a good way to put this, but I mean, it's not not you don't spend every single second in a church building. And so, I mean, the new song I'm working on is about being on the road, just driving. Yeah, I don't say the name of Jesus, but I mean, he is. It is part of my life, and you can find Jesus in those moments of just going around, even if you're not saying that or
Being explicit.
yeah, being explicit. That's right. And so, even if you're not being explicit about it, you can definitely just express your faith in that kind of manner.
Yeah, you would say
Yeah.
that your faith is rooted within your music.
Yes, that's definitely it. That's faith is rooted in my music, and that's not going to change. And so, well, if that takes me somewhere, great. But hopefully, I mean, if even one listener is like, "Oh, I like the way that guy includes his faith into his music," I think it's a success. I'm ready to retire. But
Yeah. Well, and this is my thing with our organization, and we want to encourage other artists with that. Is I don't like that Christian artists are in a corner as Christian artists. I hear women say this all the time, like, well, I don't want to be a woman politician or a woman or a
yeah,
female lawyer. I just want to be a lawyer. I just want to be a politician. I just want to be a doctor. Why do I got to be, anything because I'm a female, right? I think the exact same thing about a Christian is why do we have to be Christian artists, Christian lawyers,
Yeah.
and it matters. And for me, like, that's noteworthy. That's awesome that so and so is a, whatever occupation that they pick up.
Hmm.
But for me, I really just want you to be good at what you're doing. And your faith obviously is very important to me. And I love that we're talking about this, and we wouldn't be having the same conversation if you were just, talking about getting drunk at the bar and getting kicked out, but there's roots of faith. There's roots of faith in your music, and I think that that's beautiful. And I don't think that you have to be explicit. And so I think that what you're doing is fantastic. And I would argue that if we had more individuals like yourself doing that, I think that the world would be a little bit of a better place, because we have spheres of influence all over. And not I don't have to just go into the Christian catalog in order to find something like this. No, I go into some Southern rock and I see, oh, this dude, he's not an atheist, and it sounds like he's actually a believer. And it's just good. It's good all around. So we love your music with our family. As I said, I grew up on classic rock. My wife, not so much, but we're blown away that you do everything. What, and just in your room?
Yeah, and it used to be my parents' closet. I upgraded to my own room, and now I'm in my own closet. And so, yeah, it's just all in my room, little home studio, kind of a ghetto setup, but it works.
I think that's part of the package deal. So, so on the podcast, typically I don't include music that's not original to mine because copyright or whatever. And on the videos, are you cool if we like play little
Oh,
snippets or
yeah,
whatever?
I would love that.
Awesome, awesome. So I watched a video. 4th of July just happened. You had some family over? Is
I
that
did. Yep.
So I saw that video of you guys on 4th of July just jamming out in the backyard to some Freebird. What's
Hmm.
that like? Is that to me, I know that you love creating music and you want others to enjoy your music, but as a fellow creative, I view that and I'm thinking, man, that's just it right there. Getting lost in that moment and
Yeah.
just jamming out with your family. What's that like, man?
Well, it was great, and so yeah, I mean that's just one of those moments I was talking about earlier where I didn't really realize how integrated music was into my family and in my extended family. Because I mean, heck, that whole jam session was set up by my dad. He called my grandpa and both my uncles, and they're like, "All right, this 4th of July, you guys are coming over and we're gonna jam." And I was like, "I guess that's how it is." So we set up and we started playing, and I was like, "Oh my, it's said in the Bible that the blessings outnumber the grains of sand on the earth." And every day I feel like I'm experiencing that more and more. And in that moment, just playing music with my family and just heck jamming out to some Leonard Skinner and playing some Freebird. And heck, I had my family listening out on the lawn, and we were just all hanging out on the 4th of July. You know, I was it was great just being able to not only enjoy the freedom but enjoy that time with family, and with my uncles playing music, and it was great. Hopefully we get to do it more. And
Oh yeah, I mean, I
yeah.
thought that the video that I watched, it just if America could have a bumper sticker, like that's
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
You slap that on the car. No man, that was great. I think that that's you talked about your mountaintop experience and just capturing these blessings and these moments of beauty. And I talk about it all the time. We could go philosophical on the reasons for God, but for me, when you think about our existential understanding of beauty, I think, is another reason for the God. Is why do why do I know that this is beautiful?
Hmm.
Why do I know that me with the family and we're just singing songs, man, and we're just having a good time. Why is that of such value? Why am I up here looking at two rocks and I'm so captivated by it? Why is it not just two rocks? It was put upon me to feel this way, because you go anywhere in the world, look at two rocks and be blown away. You go anywhere in the world and something like your family had with your family, they'd be blown away. It's something beautiful and it's something amazing, and that's always what I want to ask people is, all right, you could go into science and we could have this discussion and disagreement, but tell me why we all agree on what is beautiful. And
Mm-hmm.
there's just certain moments that we all understand are special. I would argue it's because of Genesis 1. And when God creates, he declares it as good. It is
Mm-hmm.
objectively good and we cannot go around it. Family, good. Mountains, sunsets, nature, good. We can never go against that. We can look at subjective art. We can, there's gonna be some people who's gonna be like, Southern rock's not my thing. Some people are gonna like, rap, hip hop, that's not really my thing. But when we look at the creator's artwork, we see absolutely good and beauty all throughout.
Amen. I mean, I could not agree more.
So people who maybe are just now getting exposed to you, they may have no clue just how young you are. And so what you've been doing in the short, well, not short amount of time, but in your youthfulness is incredible. So you were telling me, we were laughing at a story just the other day about how you just recently went down to Nashville and you couldn't get into any of the concert halls because they're all technically bars and you're not
Yeah,
21
yeah.
yet.
So I was walking down Music Row, and I don't know if it's only on Saturdays or what. I'm kind of a Nashville noob, but one of my there's this band I was listening to, and they're just young guys like me. Um, Obviously a little bit older because they managed to play and get into the bar to play. But I mean, their musicianship is just incredible, and I found them on Instagram, and I was like, oh, they just happen to be playing in Nashville the same weekend I was there. Like, I got to go see them, and luckily they're small enough. I just sent them a message and was talking to them, and they managed to get back to me. So I was talking to them like, oh, I can't wait to see you at the concert tonight. And they're like, we're expecting you. And so I'm like, oh, this is great. Got to the door, and they're like, we need to see an ID. I'm like, no, I'm 20 years old. I can't get in. And so I guess that's one of the downfalls of being under 21 is like it's actually kind of hard to get a gig just
Oh
around
yeah.
town because so many places, a lot of the live music places are bars. And so it's not only hard to get gigs, but it's also hard to watch other people and see gigs. And so yeah, there's a lot of life ahead of me though.
For sure. And so with that, where are you wanting to go? What's your goals? What's your aspirations? Obviously, you want to keep playing music,
Yes.
right?
Yeah. And so I'll never stop. I will never stop creating and making music. If it gets me nowhere, I will always be writing music. I'll always be recording music, and hopefully, I'll always be releasing music because I just like doing it. God gave us those creative minds, and I want to utilize that. Music has just been such a part of me that I don't know how I can't imagine a time in life where something goes so wrong to where I can't just go to music. Because I mean, it's just such a powerful medium of art, and so I'll always be doing music, but then goals, and I think places I'm trying to reach is um, playing live music, playing with other people. I don't need to be at the center of the stage singing all my songs. Like, I love playing other people's songs. I like playing my guitar. I like playing music, playing live. It's fun. And playing with other people. That's where my heart is at. Getting out and playing with other people, because with that you make a lot of connections, and not only that, it's an opportunity to share the gospel. And so if I get asked by a band that isn't necessarily, a Christian band or doesn't even have any Christian influences, um, I mean, that's the perfect opportunity to just go, hey man, and maybe I can expose them to some of my music, and it can just get the ball rolling, being able to share the gospel, part of the Great Commission. It's on my heart. I want to share the gospel. I want to and share music at the same time, play with other people, play live music, and if somehow I can manage to make a living for myself by that and support myself through that, I mean that would be amazing. But the goal is play music, play live, no matter how big or how small, and I like doing it.
Oh, for sure, man. Man, I think if anyone likes, Southern rock really at all, man, I think that they should definitely give your music a taste. I think that you nail it down. Dark Horse Rider's my favorite. So I listen to that, man. I'm just driving down the road and I'll just play it. And so I think that you're going places, man. I think that you got a good thing going on here, and I want to continue to support you and I want others to continue to support you. And man, you're just now getting into your journey, and so keep it up.
I will.
Um, you got an upcoming song coming out.
Yes.
What's that about?
It's but I gotta get out and ride. That may be the song title. I haven't landed on it yet, but can't sit still. Um, you know, God created this world around us, and I have got to get out and see it. And so that's part of what this song is about. Just being able to. It's following a journey from San Antonio, Texas, up to Lynchburg, Virginia. I mean, it's quite the drive. I think it's like a 25-hour drive because I know because I've done it.
Okay.
Um, but I mean, heck, just even in that, just driving and sitting in the car, your legs may cramp up, but I don't know. I love it. Just being able to get out and the views and seeing just God's world around you. That's I don't know. It's just what I got to do in life. I cannot sit still, and so it's such a part of me. I was like, well, I got to write a song about it, and so I just wrote a song about getting on the road, traveling, driving around, meeting people, going in places, seeing places, and enjoying life around you. I mean, that's really what it is just taking in life around you and trying to make the best of every opportunity.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. Well, looking forward to hearing that song. And so what is the best way for people to support you and your music? How can we keep up with you?
Yeah, if you want to keep up with me, Facebook and Instagram, I'm the most active on that. And so Shepherd Hieb Music. I do a lot of I'll sing some covers on there. I'll do some sneak peeks of songs I'm working on. And so if you like my music and want to keep up with me and just I guess kind of the process of me making music, you can go to Facebook or Instagram. And then just support, I mean, just listening to my music is enough support for me. And so all my music is on Spotify, Apple Music, iTunes, Amazon Music, YouTube. And so if you want to listen to my music, you can find it anywhere. It's Shepherd Hieb. Yeah, that's kind of my area of the internet, I guess.